Hi, I'm Daniel Forrester, and I'm here with my mama, Pam Forrester, who's the author of Plants Growing Up and Polished Cornerstones. These are character training resources that she built up while she was training me and my 5 younger siblings. And we're going to talk for a few minutes about how to schedule these and work them into your home school.
First, there's lots of projects in the book, and it's not designed to try to do all these projects with all your children all at once or ever. It's more of a smorgasbord where you pick and choose what fits best for your children and their temperaments and their interests. They can be used with all different ages. We've organized it so that there's easy projects at the beginning of each chapter, and they get progressively harder in each chapter, so you can choose some projects for young children now, the same chapter that you choose projects for older children later. There's a lot of resources that are suggested, and again, you don't need to use all those. It's up to you. You could use the book without using any of the resources, or you can choose to use a few, or if you like using a lot of outside resources, you may want to either get some of those from the library or accumulate some of those for your own library. Another thing to remember is that a lot of these projects you can do with your children, which is a good thing to do, and it also helps them be able to do some projects that involve reading and writing that they might not be able to do just by themselves.
Alright, we're going to open up the book and get started. This is Plants Growing Up, and we're going to turn to the chapter on courage. It has some notes for you as the parent to begin with, and then memory verses. After the memory verses, it has projects organized by beginner, intermediate, and advanced over here. And those correspond roughly to the age categories of 4 to 9, 10 to 14, and age 15 and up for the advanced projects. The first step is to just flip through the book and highlight or circle the projects that you think would be beneficial for your children.
Okay, well, let's assume we have maybe 4 boys, different ages, so we can look at the different age levels. The first thing we could do going through a chapter, after we've chosen the chapter on courage, is to highlight the projects that you think look like they would work well with your children. So we have, I'm going to say a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old, and then a boy that's in his teens that would be using the advanced material. Drawing a picture to illustrate Proverbs 28:1 would be something a 4-year-old could do when we read it to them. Reading the story of Gideon, again, would be something would be easy for us to do with the 4-year-old and the 8-year-old. Setting up some tents in the backyard. We're going to be setting up a calendar for in September. This would be a great project to do camping. Oh, now we're into the intermediate area, and this would apply to the 12-year-old son. And I'm going to select choosing an area in which he's afraid, because he does have some issues that we'd like to work with. We continue to read through interviewing different men and asking them to recount episodes in their lives. This would be something that, again, for the 12-year-old would be good for him. It'd help him to relate to some men and learn how to talk to them besides learning things, so I want to mark that. And then we move on to the advanced for the older boy. He's learned how to do some Bible study on his own. I'm going to mark study the fear of the Lord, and we probably work with him some on that to teach him how to do some things with the concordance. Research your family history. So you would just go through and continue to mark the projects that look like they would fit well with your sons and the point that they are in their lives. Okay, after we've marked projects, it's useful then to go back and choose the memory verses that you're going to have your children memorize. I'm going to mark Proverbs 28:1 because that is involved in one of the projects that we marked. So we can go ahead and memorize the verse as well. And one thing to notice is the verses that are in italic are the simpler verses that would be easier for younger children. And then it moves on to verses in regular text that are probably a little longer and more difficult, that would be more appropriate for the older ones, unless your younger children are getting a lot of help as they memorize.
Now there are 2 planning sheets in the beginning of the book that will help you with scheduling. One is a project page and one is a calendar page.
Okay, first we'll look at the project page, and this is one that some people may choose not to use. It depends on how detailed you like to have your planning done. This is useful because you could go through the book when you're off on a planning retreat, or you and your husband can sit down and look at it together and mark a lot of things, and then take this project page and fill it in, and you could have a notebook full of all the projects that you would like to use, and then plug these into a calendar later in the year. If you're going to use this one, you'd be filling in the chapter. Write your memory verses that you're planning on using into this part. And then when you get down to here, you'd be writing down a project, each project that you've highlighted in your book, and the initials of the child that you would be planning to use this. So let's say Daniel is our 4-year-old, and Joseph is the 8-year-old. We do project B on page 114. And this is just a place to write any notes of materials that you might need. This one is just a matter of having paper, so there's really nothing to put in there. The time, if there's a particular day that you might want to do this, or if you're going to do it like during your family Bible time, you'd note that here. How the same kind of thing, have him do it with his dad during a special time. You'd be noting those kind of things that are specific to your needs. Okay, and the other project, when we get into the intermediate section, let's say our 12-year-old has a fear of water. So, and to develop courage, one of the things we'd like him to do is take swimming lessons. So we'd put his initial and project K on page 115. And what we need to think through here then is notes. We've got to round up where he can take swimming lessons and work that into our schedule. So we've got to do some research. Okay, so now we're going to switch over to the calendar, and again, this may be the way you choose to organize this, or you may just work these projects into the planning system that you have if you're homeschooling. We'd start out by filling out, this is the month of September that we're planning on this, and we're emphasizing courage. You go through and put in the days of the month. And you want to think about any holidays or any known vacations or anything you're going to be doing during that time. And then we can either look at the book or look at the project page, depending on which system you're working with. So we go through on the calendar and just work in the different projects. You can do this again in the way that you understand best. Let's decide that we're going to have the younger boys illustrate Proverbs 28:1, so we'd write that in. This would be a good day for us to do that. We have a project that involves the story of Gideon and setting up some tents in the backyard, so that would work really well on our camp out trips. So I'll write down, this would probably involve the whole family, so we just write down Gideon, and if you want a reminder of where to find that in your book, you could put down C and then on the page number, so you go back and refer to that. We maybe want to write some notes down here too then of anything we need to take along. This is a place just for reminders, so if you want to take any things to help illustrate that story of Gideon, you'd write that down here.
And how do you fit the memory verses into your planning?
We just go through then and look at what we've marked in our book and write those down in this part right here. So we were going to do Proverbs 28:1, for instance. We just continue to write any of the other verses in that section. If we have different children memorizing different ones, we'd want to note that as well. Put the initials of the children's names next to those verses.
Okay, and I remember you putting, like, on each Sunday, a different verse when we were memorizing one each week. You could also do it that way.
Right, we just noted, this was kind of just to help me remember what verses we were going to do, but I also would note them here because that we memorize for the week and recite on Saturday night or Sunday, and then start a new verse the next week. So you write those in as well. A lot of flexibility to this, just making it work for your household. These are just tools to help you organize. They're tools that you don't have to use at all if you're the kind that just does really well, kind of winging it. And if you like to have things organized and where you can see it all, then we've tried to give you some tools to be able to do that.
If you're watching this on our blog, feel free to comment and add your suggestions or ask questions, and we can discuss this more. I hope that it's been helpful. Thanks for watching.